The first student, alas, is coming to us via Skype. She was not able to obtain a visa to be here in person, but hopefully this will work. Please welcome Shahrin Ali from North South University, Bangladesh. Shahrin, are you there? She's going to be in the center screen, I think, in a moment.
Hello.
Hello, Shahrin, we're going to see you.
Yes, hi everyone. Can you hear me?
We can hear you fine. We haven't been able to see you yet, but while we get that straightened out, maybe we could play the Shahrin's 2-minute video.
Women aged between 10 to 55 menstruate every month. In Bangladesh, 14 million women menstruate every day. Sadly, 80% of the women cannot afford sanitary napkins. Instead, they use unhygienic substances such as sand, leaves, mud, or unsterilized clothes and rags. According to a survey conducted by UNICEF, 80% of the surveyed females stored their menstrual clothes in a hidden dirty place for repeated use. 40% failed to change their clothes frequently or wash them with soap after use. 50% failed to dry their menstrual rags outside and in full sun, which is an essential condition required to kill bacteria. Such unhygienic practices lead to itching, burning, vaginal and urinary tract infections, infertility and other reproductive health complications, cervical cancer, and even death. The report also reflected that 40% of the surveyed girls missed their schools during menstruation. This group of unprivileged women are in dire need of a solution. Introducing Mukto Sanitary Napkin, which is an inexpensive 3-layer dye-side sanitary napkin made from recycled textile cotton waste. Targeted to all women and young girls of the lower middle and low-income strata, both in the urban and rural areas, who do not have access to hygienic sanitary disposals. Because of its property of being made out of recycled textile cotton waste and the use of minimal synthetic material, it is not only affordable for most women, but it also aids to environmental sustainability. Moreover, no additives or petrochemicals are added, making women less vulnerable to health complications. It also has 4 strings attached to both sides of the pad so that women who do not wear undergarments can tie it around their thighs and keep the pad in position. The use of recycled material and the simple production technique will enable all ranges of women to avail the sanitary napkin at a range of only 80 paisa or 1 Bangladeshi taka. The wide availability of materials needed and the simplistic production process will enable Mukto Sanitary Napkin to be expanded globally in the future. Menstruation is inevitable and natural for all women. So to all the women in the world, let's bleed with pride with Mukto Sanitary Napkin.
Shahrin, I hope you can hear the applause, and please turn your video back on. I think, Shahrin, maybe you have your video off?
Can you see me now?
Not yet. We just see the icon, but your video is on your Skype?
Yes. Yes, it is.
Okay. You know what? Let's keep going like this and see if we can, if that comes up, if your picture comes up. Sue, should we just keep going? Okay. Shahrin, you have a minute, which I'm going to time, for you to say something to the sharks and the audience before they ask you questions.
Okay, sure. Do I start?
Yep.
Okay, so thank you so much, everyone. I'm extremely sorry I couldn't be there in person. However, I think I've covered every aspect of my product in the concept submission form in the video that was just shown. However, in this 1 minute that I'm given, I would like to give you a picture of why I chose to work on this sensitive issue in the first place. Well, did you know that our reproductive organs are just as sensitive as our eyes? Imagine when a bit of dust enters our eyes, it hurts, and we start scraping and rubbing our eyes until we get rid of it. Now, imagine the state of all those women who has no other option but to use substances like mud, ash, leaves, paper, damp clothes, just to stop their menstrual flow. Only because they're a group of unprivileged women who cannot afford sanitary napkins that are designed usually for the affluent. Added to that, imagine there is a lot of stereotypes and taboos that exist. Do you really think it is the fault of all the women that they cannot afford sanitary napkins, and that it's natural and it's inevitable, and that helps to keep the human life cycle balanced?
Shahrin, I'm going to interrupt you. You're way over time. I want the judges to have time to ask you questions. So I'm going to ask the judges to begin. And I think Tracy's taking the mic. They're all on.
They're on. Okay, fantastic. Shahrin, hello. It's very nice to meet you. My
Hi.
name's Tracy Chappell.
Hi. Yes.
I thought that your submission was very thoughtful. It's very clever.
Thank you.
Very altruistic. And I'm interested, in reading your application, I'm interested in what you've said about the health and the medical issues that come about from perhaps the lack of education, but also the way that ladies are taking care of themselves at the moment. Have you had a chance to look at what the financial burden is at the moment in Bangladesh because of the medical issues that come about because of the way people are taking care of themselves at the moment? Because I'm wondering if there's an opportunity for you to have a grant.
Well, honestly, the reason why I chose this project is because in terms of financial aspects, I think it is viable. And not really sure about the grant, but I think if I was given the proper opportunity, we could actually make this work. Because the form of raw materials that I'm using is usually recycled materials and that are highly available everywhere. And I think it's easy to recycle it and convert it back to cotton, through which you can actually make these sanitary napkins at a very low cost.
Very good, thank you.
Shahrin, just try one more time to put your video on and off. Stay connected, but just try one more time because it seems it's on your end that the video is off. And while you're trying that, we'll go to the next question.
Okay, do you want me to call again?
No,
If that's
no,
okay?
no. Stay connected. Don't go away.
Okay.
Stay with us, Shahrin. This is Simon. You're coming through loud and clear. So I'm interested for your idea. Have you produced a prototype, or do you have an idea of what the first stage of financial funding, what the first round requirement would be to bring what sounds like a marvelous idea into reality?
Well, like I said, my product has basically 3 layers. And the first step would definitely mean getting the raw materials. And like I said, since Bangladesh kind of excels in the textile industry, and around every textile garments that we have here, the factories that we have here, they produce around 20 to 30% of the cotton waste. So this cotton waste can be able to directly from the factories, or it can be able through third parties. So the first step would obviously mean getting in contact with these vendors so we can keep these raw materials coming. And afterwards, we have machines that will convert this unprocessed or this waste into raw cotton, through which you can basically process further and turn it into sanitary napkins.
What was the question, Shahrin?
Sorry.
So what was my question? You gave a beautiful answer, but you didn't answer the question. Sorry, we did decide amongst us who had to be the good cops and the bad cops. So I asked you, do you have a prototype, and what's your first round funding requirement to bring the idea to life?
No, I don't have a prototype yet. It's just an idea. And the funding, I'm not really sure about that yet, because it's just an idea, and I wanted to work on this issue because it's really important all over the world. Yeah.
Okay, next question.
Hello, this is Jane. I'd like to get a little bit clearer on your ideas for distribution. So I think the idea and bringing it to market is relatively simple. It's actually getting it into the hands of the women who need it. So can you explain a little bit more about that?
The distribution would be very, very difficult, to be very honest, because you have to reach in places where you don't really where people do not really have much access to proper information and technology. However, what I was thinking is that if I could collaborate with some sort of a distribution company, for example, here we have very small distribution companies who actually we have a lot of NGOs that I could incorporate with, so that they can help me further with the distribution and further with the education and training. Yeah.
Hi, Shahrin, it's Sheila speaking. I was looking at your proposition, and I think it's a really valid proposition going forward. But I have a question, and it's quite a strong one. How are you going to address a lot of the cultural taboos which have left this population in this situation in the first place? Because I think there's an education element that would really drive the product, and I believe that your tagline, "Bleed with Pride," might be very provocative.
Well, thank you for your question. First of all, what I wanted to address is the need of these women. Well, this is something that is talked behind closed doors, but and this is a problem that most women face, but they really don't want to talk about it, right? So we might have a little of a trouble. Probably educating all of these people, but if we could deliver them the message saying that it is for these women and how this could stop their menstrual flow every month and how it's more hygienic and how they can resume their everyday life, I think we can actually reach a greater target market.
It's Frank Pizzicalis. So my question for you is sort of along the lines of what's been asked, but just want to dig in a little more. To me, looking at this, it just seems like such a great solution, an obvious one. So when you think of the burden on healthcare, how have you done any research around how you would take this to, let's say, government and look at from the healthcare side of things for either a grant or because I think, again, to minimize the impact on the healthcare from an economic perspective, it seems a no-brainer. So, and again, the cost that you have, a fraction of a penny, maybe 5 or 6 per penny, seems very, very low. And just wondering how you came to that number. How did you come up with that number in terms of the cost for this solution?
Well, firstly, thank you for your question. And like I said, we have a couple of NGOs that are working for this unprivileged group of women. We could actually take the help of these NGOs because they're usually very, very eager to work for the society and to address such issues. And secondly, about the financials, I basically looked into a couple of machines that could be used. So starting with the estimation, I made an estimation of the machines, how much it might cost to get the raw materials, the textile cotton waste, because they also come at a price. And I've also looked at how the process can be smoothened. Given all that, I have added the cost, and I've come up that it could be produced at a cost as low as this. However, the cost that I have mentioned is basically the cost of one sanitary napkin. So if you're producing, for example, a packet, that would be around 10 taka, which is around like 20 cents in USD. Yeah.
We've got time for maybe one more quick question.
Okay, this is Frank. Hello. I also have a question basically regarding the bigger picture, let's say that way. And did you thought about anything outside the specific use of the product? Is there anything more you can think of we could do with that?
Well, honestly, I really haven't thought about that because I was focusing on addressing the problem of of disposing the menstrual waste. So I was trying to make sure that we actually come up with a product that will help women to solve this issue and not do their daily activities more smoothly. So one of the you would see one of the added features here with that is that in our country most people do not actually wear innerwear. So you would see the strings that are attached to it. So it will be more easier and more convenient for people to wear it, more convenient for people to use it. And more importantly, the main issue that I wanted to address with this product is that so that people can actually do their daily activities without any sort of a problem. Because in our country, when women menstruate, when they have their periods every month, they usually skip work, and they don't usually do a lot of they can't do the daily activities because of this inconvenience. So I really wanted to address that issue so that women do not have to skip work, they do not have to skip their daily
Shahrin,
regular activities.
Excuse me, Shahrin, it's Nancy. I'm going to have to stop you there. We're running a little bit
Sure.
over. I just want to say thank you very much for being with us. Sorry we couldn't see your beautiful face, but thank you very much.